Welcome to NFL News Today, bringing you the latest updates, hottest analysis, and all the action from the NFL, right here. From breaking news to team performances and legendary player highlights, we've got it all. If you're a true NFL fan, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to share with your friends. Stay updated. Stay ahead. This is NFL News Today. The Kansas City Chiefs could be facing a tough challenge this offseason, and it all comes down to a critical position on their roster. If they wait too long, securing a franchise left tackle might become a serious problem. On top of that, a key area that Chiefs fans have been hoping to see movement in has remained quiet. So, let's break it all down. Now that the NFL Combine is over, we have fresh numbers on several draft prospects. One major concern for the Chiefs is their ability to land a long-term left tackle in this year's draft. Picking at the end of the first round always makes things tricky, but this year's tackle class presents an even bigger challenge. One name that stands out is Josh Simmons. He's an incredibly talented prospect, but his patella tendon injury from last year raises some concerns. For a 300-plus pound lineman, recovery from such an injury isn't easy. However, if the Chiefs are willing to take a bit of a risk, Simmons could be a steal. If he falls far enough in the draft, moving up to grab him could be a smart move. He has the potential to be the Chiefs' long-term answer at left tackle, something they haven't had since drafting Eric Fisher years ago. Now, Simmons might not be ready to start in 2025 due to his injury, but by 2026 and beyond, he could be a key piece of their offensive line. Other names to watch include Josh Conerly Jr. and Aaron Uranseri, who could also be options late in the first round. If the Chiefs grade them highly and don't expect them to last until their second-round pick, they might need to trade up to secure one. There are plenty of ways Kansas City could address this need, but one thing is clear: they can't afford to wait too long. If the Chiefs end up drafting someone like Aaron Uranseri or Josh Conerly Jr., there's a good chance they'll need some time to adjust from college to the NFL. However, they can't be ruled out as options just yet, especially since multiple mock drafts frequently link them to Kansas City. Many experts still believe the Chiefs will take the best available offensive tackle in the first round. For example, 2 recent mock drafts had Kansas City selecting a tackle in round 1. Hayden Winks from Underdog predicted that Josh Simmons' Starkbank could fall to pick number 31, where the Chiefs would take him. Meanwhile, Trevor Sikkema from PFF put together a post-combine mock draft based on insider information. He had Simmons falling to number 1, 25, which would put him within trade-up range for Kansas City. At pick number 31, the Chiefs ended up selecting Josh Conerly Jr. from Oregon. His reasoning? He firmly believes Kansas City will prioritize an offensive tackle, whether that means staying put at number 31 or making a small trade-up. Now let's talk about Josh Conerly Jr. For a moment, he has logged over 1,800 snaps at left tackle. During his college career, far more experience at the position than some other prospects. For comparison, Kingsley Suamataia had just at 687 snaps at right tackle, Saquon in college before switching to left tackle, where he added 655 snaps, hours before entering the draft. That means Conerly has nearly 3 times the left tackle experience of Suamataia. Not only that, but Conerly has shown steady improvement every season, both in pass protection and run blocking. At this point, you might be wondering, what's the issue? Why could the Chiefs be in trouble when it comes to drafting a tackle? Well, here's the problem. Many of the top tackle prospects in this draft class, including those likely to be within the Chiefs' range, have shorter than ideal arm length. In the NFL, offensive tackles are typically expected to have arms measuring at least 34 inches to maximize their reach against defenders. Josh Simmons, for example, has some of the shortest arms among the top prospects in this class. That could be a concern, especially for a team like Kansas City, which needs a reliable, long-term solution at left tackle. So, while there are talented options in this draft, the Chiefs will need to carefully evaluate whether any of these tackles truly fit their long-term needs, or if they'll have to take another approach to solidify their offensive line. One of the biggest concerns with this year's offensive tackle class is arm length. Many of the top prospects, Kelvin Banks Jr., Anthony Bolton, Josh Connerly Jr., Arante Urensri, and Donovan Jackson, all have arms measuring under 34 inches. While this doesn't automatically disqualify them from becoming starting left tackles in the NFL, it does raise concerns. Historically, most successful NFL tackles have arm lengths of at least 34 inches. Because longer arms help control pass rushers, widen the edge, and provide a better reach against elite defensive linemen. While there are exceptions, only the 6 starting offensive tackles in the league have arms under 33 inches. And most linemen with shorter arms end up moving to interior positions like guard. Despite this, I still believe the Chiefs should strongly consider taking one of these tackles in the first round, if the right player falls to them. However, it would go against the team's usual approach. Under Andy Reid, every offensive tackle the Chiefs have drafted has had an average arm length of 34.62 inches. The only real exception is Andrew Wiley, who had shorter arms but primarily played guard before moving to right tackle. Even then, he was an undrafted free agent, not a high draft pick. This arm length trend suggests that if Kansas City wants a reliable left tackle, they may need to find a solution in free agency rather than the draft. More on that in a bit. But to give some perspective, Jawaan Taylor, the Chiefs' current right tackle, has an arm length of neat over 35 inches, which fits their usual mold. That said, drafting a tackle with shorter arms isn't necessarily a lost cause. Even when Kansas City has taken tackles with ideal arm length, results have been mixed. Eric Fisher, the former first overall pick, took a couple of years to develop before becoming a solid starter. Lucas Niang was serviceable but never a long-term solution. Darian Kinnard didn't even last with the team. Wanya Morris is currently a swing tackle and might take over at right tackle if the Chiefs move on from Jawaan Taylor. Kingsley Suamataia was pulled after just 2 games as the starter, though it's too early to give up on him, especially considering Eric Fisher also struggled as a rookie back in 2013. So while arm length is an important factor, it's not the only thing that determines success. If the Chiefs believe a tackle has the skill set and potential to develop, they might be willing to go against their usual tendencies. The real question is whether they'll take that gamble in the first round or look elsewhere to solve their left tackle problem. When Eric Fisher was drafted first overall, he started as a right tackle before eventually moving to his natural position at left tackle in his second year. In contrast, Kingsley Suamataia was taken at pick and number 63 asterisks, a much later selection. The main issue with Kingsley isn't just his performance. It seems that his offensive line coach Andy Heck sees him more as a guard rather than a tackle. If that's the case, his future in Kansas City might not be at left tackle at all. Speaking of the Chiefs coaching staff, I have some news coming up that might not sit well with everyone. But before we get to that, let's talk about why the team must bring in a veteran tackle, regardless of whether they give Kingsley another shot. One thing is clear: championships are won in the trenches. The evidence is undeniable. The Chiefs' top priority must be to protect Patrick Mahomes. Everything else should come second. Just look at how Mahomes led the team to an AFC championship a few seasons ago. Throwing to guys like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, and Marcus Kemp. He didn't have elite weapons, but what he did have was a solid offensive line. And that made all the difference. The Chiefs shouldn't force a pick based on need. Instead, they should draft the best talent available. That means if a defensive lineman, wide receiver, or another position they love falls to them at number 31, they should take him. Kansas City doesn't have many wide receivers locked up long term, so they could easily go that route instead. But what if the best player available at number 31 happens to be an offensive lineman, even if he has shorter arms? Worst case scenario, someone like Josh Simmons competes for the left tackle job and ends up as a backup behind a veteran Niner for a year. Maybe he transitions to right tackle if Jawan Taylor leaves next season, or perhaps he shifts to left guard if Joe Thuney moves on in the future. And who knows, he could defy the odds and turn into a solid starting left tackle for Mahomes, despite the arm length concerns. And this doesn't just apply to Simmons. This goes for Josh Connerly Jr., Arante Urensuri, or any other tackle the Chiefs consider drafting. No matter what, Kansas City must keep investing in the trenches, both in the draft and in free agency. Now, speaking of free agency, that's where things get really interesting. I want to hear your thoughts. How would you feel if the Chiefs drafted a tackle in round 1, despite concerns about arm length? Even if they signed a veteran like DJ Humphries before the draft, would you be open to the idea knowing that Brett Veach and the front office are doing everything they can to rebuild the offensive line that allowed Patrick Mahomes to be hit more than any other quarterback last season? Or would you be frustrated, feeling like a better fit for the Chiefs system was still available at a different position? To be clear, the goal of this discussion isn't to convince you that the Chiefs must draft a tackle in round 1. Instead, it's about exploring whether physical traits like arm length should dictate their decision. If the coaching staff is high on a certain player, then maybe it's worth considering him, despite the concerns. That said, I've repeatedly emphasized, Rustan, the importance of signing a veteran left tackle in free agency. And one name that Chiefs Kingdom has brought up over and over again last year was Donovan Smith. Smith was a popular option, especially after Kingsley Somataya struggled early and got benched. Interestingly, almost half of the NFL checked in on Smith's availability last season. But a hip injury in May 2024 kept him sidelined for the entire year. The good news? He's fully recovered and reportedly looking to return in 2025, which means he could be an option for the Chiefs. Of course, time will tell if KC actually makes a move. Now let's talk about something else that has fans anxiously waiting: potential changes to the offensive coaching staff. Many have been watching for updates, hoping for fresh ideas and adjustments. Nate Taylor recently asked Andy Reid about this. And after a few minor defensive coaching changes, it seems that nothing will change on the offensive side. That means Matt Nagy remains the offensive coordinator, and no new voices will be brought in to shake things up. Some fans might have hoped for fresh perspectives in play calling, but for now, it looks like the Chiefs will be sticking with the same approach. Heading into 2025, the question is, will that be enough? The Chiefs' offensive struggles over the past couple of seasons have been noticeable, but was it more about injuries and a lack of talent around Patrick Mahomes rather than coaching issues? Hopefully, that's the case. It seems Andy Reid believes so, because if he didn't, you would think that at least some coaching changes would have been made. Now you might trust Reid's decision and believe stability is the best approach. Or you might feel that changes were necessary, regardless of the circumstances. Either way, it looks like the Chiefs are sticking with their current staff heading into next season. What do you think? Should they have made adjustments Or is continuity the right move? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and until next time.